I wasn't even supposed to be home that night. It was one of those soft, strange evenings where the air is too quiet for a Friday, like the world knew something I didn't. I had a key. My mother never changed the locks. She didn't think I had reason to come back, not unless she needed help lifting something heavy or covering a bill she forgot she owed. But I had driven 2 hours from my apartment because I left my black blazer at their house, the one I wore to interviews, to funerals, to every serious thing in my life. I didn't knock. It was past 9. I figured everyone would be asleep or watching television, but the hallway light was on, and her laugh, that stupid, soft, breathy laugh she always used when she was trying to sound delicate, floated down the stairs. I paused. The front door still cracked open behind me. Then his voice followed. His voice. Michael. I didn't even need to go up to know what I'd find. But I did anyway. Maybe because I wanted to be wrong. Maybe because a small, dying part of me still trusted that I was loved. The guest room door wasn't closed all the way. I saw the silhouette of her hand on his chest first. Then the glint of her engagement ring. My engagement ring. It didn't even fit her properly. Too loose. It hung crooked on her finger like it knew it didn't belong there. Neither of them saw me. I turned before they kissed again. The hall mirror caught my face. I looked older, hollow, not surprised. I didn't drive home that night. I went to a motel, the kind with chipped paint and humming air conditioners. I lay on the scratchy bedspread in my jeans, blazer folded across my stomach, and stared at the ceiling tiles. One had a stain shaped like a teardrop. It felt ironic, but I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't call anyone. What was the point? The next morning, my mother texted me. "Hey, sweetie, any chance you could Venmo us the flower? Deposit? We're short. You know how expensive weddings are. Love you." The wedding, their wedding. No one had told me, not even my sister. A week later, an envelope arrived in my mailbox. Cream-colored, embossed. Her name in looping cursive next to his. It wasn't an invitation. It was an assignment. "We'd love for you to be a bridesmaid. It would mean the world. Let's not dwell on the past. Family over everything, right? Love, Kayla." I folded the card in half without reading the rest. Something cracked inside me. Not loud, not visible, just a quiet snap, like the breaking of a branch in a snowstorm. The next day, I texted her one word. Sure. No one noticed the silence beneath it. Not her. Not my mother. Not even Michael. The first bridesmaid group chat was titled Kayla's Sparkle Girls. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. There were 8 of us. Well, 7 of them. And me. Kayla had picked blush pink as the color scheme. Of course she did. She always said it made her look soft and expensive. That was her thing. Soft and expensive. Meanwhile, I stood beside her in everything we ever shared like a placeholder. A stagehand holding up the set. One of the girls, Madison or maybe Jillian, I couldn't remember, sent a selfie in the group. Her caption read, "Hope we're all getting in shape. Don't want to be the fat bridesmaid." Kayla replied, with 3 laughing emojis. Then, "You're perfect. Not like my sister who lives on stress and iced coffee, lol, JK love." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The group moved on. The first dress fitting was at a boutique downtown, the kind that smells like champagne and wilted roses. Kayla floated in 10 minutes late, eyes hidden behind heart-shaped sunglasses. Michael came with her. He waited in the lounge while we tried things on. I almost turned around when I saw him sitting there, sipping something that wasn't offered to the rest of us. He glanced up once. His eyes caught mine, and he smiled. Not a sorry smile. Not a regretful one. Just recognition. Like I was someone from his past he vaguely remembered. Like I was nothing. Inside the fitting room, the assistant tugged the dress over my ribs with a grunt. "You have sharp shoulders," she muttered. "The others are more hourglass." I stared at myself under the boutique lights. The blush fabric looked wrong on me, like someone else's skin. Kayla pushed the curtain open before I could close it. She gasped. "Oh my God, you look actually really pretty." Then she leaned in, lowered her voice. "Mike said you'd bail, by the way." I told him, "No, she'll do it. She always does what's right. Even when it hurts." I nodded once. I didn't blink. And Kayla, satisfied, moved on to compliment Jillian's cleavage. After the fitting, I sat in my car for 23 minutes before starting the engine. I watched Kayla twirl for Michael, on the sidewalk as he held shopping bags and pretended not to look bored. She kissed his cheek and pouted when he checked his phone. They looked like a magazine couple. Glossy. Cheap under the light. I reached into the glove compartment and pulled out the receipt, the one for her first dress fitting. She'd put it on my card, just until payday. I opened my banking app and pressed cancel payment, not out of pettiness, just stillness. I owed myself at least that. Kayla's bachelorette weekend was held at an Airbnb in Palm Springs, the kind with white walls, neon signs, and a pool made for Instagram. I almost didn't go. But then I thought, she expects me to leave. She wants to be the one abandoned. So I packed my bag, wore a simple black bikini, no frills. No caption. Kayla greeted me at the gate like a talk show host. "There she is. The responsible one is here. Now we can start." Everyone laughed. Even the bartender she hired for Saturday night. She passed me a mimosa and whispered, "Be chill, okay?" "No sad girl vibes this weekend," I smiled. Wouldn't dream of it. That night, while the others played games with penis straws and glittered their eyelids in the bathroom mirror, I slipped away. The Airbnb had a den that doubled as an office. Inside, I found her wedding planning binder. Of course she had one. Plastic tabs. Color-coded sticky notes. One tab was labeled Backup Vows, Mine. I flipped through. There were bullet points in her handwriting. "Michael makes me feel chosen. You never made me feel like second best. Even when others wanted what we had, you stayed." I stared at the third one. "Even when others wanted what we had." I closed the binder and walked back out to the pool where the others were shrieking over a glow-in-the-dark ring toss. I didn't say anything, but I started writing my own vows. Not for a man, not for a wedding, just for myself. The weekend ended with hangovers and eyelashes in the sink. I offered to drive one of the girls back to LA Madison, the one who always tried too hard. Halfway through the drive, she blurted it out, "So, just tell me, were you and Michael, still together when he proposed to Kayla?" I gripped the wheel. "What makes you ask that?" She shrugged. "It's just, you're so quiet. And he always acts weird when you're around. Like Guilty. Kayla says you're fine. But honestly, you don't seem fine. I didn't answer. Because there was no version of the story that didn't sound pathetic. But inside, something shifted. For the first time, I realized someone else had noticed. Someone else had seen it too. The wedding was 2 months away. The dress was still in my closet, still wrapped in plastic, still tagged, still unpaid for. And yet Kayla kept tagging me in posts like nothing had ever broken between us. Sister goals. Bride squad. Family first. I didn't untag myself. I didn't delete the app. I just started screenshotting. Everything. Because sometimes, revenge doesn't look like fire. Sometimes it's a slow, careful record. A paper trail written in silence. 2 weeks before the wedding, Kayla called me sobbing. I hate the photographer. I was standing in line at the pharmacy. My phone buzzed loud enough for the old man behind me to flinch. She sent me proofs from our engagement shoot and my arms look huge. I told her to use the slimming filter. Michael said he looks tired. He wants to redo the whole thing. She waited for me to sympathize. I pressed the phone closer to my ear and said, softly, "That must be hard. Right? Thank you. At least you get it. No one else does." And just like that, she slipped back into comfort. Like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't once been the one engaged to the man she now cried over. That night, I found the box in my closet. The old one, floral lid, cracked corners. Inside, a photo of me and Michael on my graduation day. A note he wrote in Sharpie on hotel stationery. A silver bracelet I never wore because it felt too heavy to mean what it was supposed to. I didn't cry. I just folded the note back in thirds and laid it face down. There was no rage. No grief left to milk. Just dust. And maybe that's what healing is sometimes. Not a scream. Just stillness that doesn't ache. The final dress fitting was the last time I saw him before the wedding. He was standing outside the bridal salon, arms crossed, talking to my mother. I didn't realize it was my mother at first. She had curled her hair, wore her pearl earrings, the ones she always said she was saving for my big day. I walked past them, and she barely nodded at me. Didn't even ask how I was. But when Kayla stepped out in the dress, lace, too tight, too smug, Mom clapped her hands together like she'd seen a miracle. "You're the most beautiful bride I've ever seen." She didn't look at me when she said it. She didn't need to. Afterward, Kayla pulled me aside in the parking lot. "You're going to give a toast, right? At the rehearsal dinner." I blinked. "You want me to speak?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "It would mean a lot. You're the only one who knew us both from the beginning." Yes. I knew. I knew more than anyone. I nodded. Okay. And that was it. She walked away satisfied, and I stood there, hand on my car door, rehearsing everything I wouldn't say. The rehearsal dinner was held at a restaurant with exposed brick and wine-stained linen napkins. I arrived 10 minutes early. As always, they arrived 40 minutes late. Kayla in white again, like she couldn't wait another day. Michael with one hand in his pocket, and the other resting on her waist like a brand. I stayed quiet, took my seat, smiled when expected. No one asked me how the drive was. No one noticed I didn't eat. Halfway through the night, Someone tapped a fork against a glass and shouted, "Let's hear from the bridal party." I didn't move. But Kayla stood and beamed across the table at me like she was crowning me. "My sister has something to say." The table cheered. I stood slowly. My knees didn't shake, which surprised me. I thought they might. I looked at Michael first. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Then I looked at Kayla. Her chin was slightly raised, like she expected a speech about how much I loved her. How I'd always known they were meant to be. Instead, I said this. Some people confuse forgiveness with forgetting. The room hushed. But forgetting is what lets people rewrite the story. Pretend there was no pain, no betrayal. Just champagne and fairy lights. A few heads turned. Kayla's smile twitched. Michael cleared his throat. "I won't rewrite it," I said. I lifted my glass. To beginnings that aren't stolen. To truth, even when it's quiet. And to letting go, even when no one says sorry. I drank. Alone. No one toasted back. But I didn't need them to. Later in the restroom, Kayla cornered me. Her voice was low, sharp. What the hell was that? I shrugged. A toast. You embarrassed me. In front of everyone. You embarrassed me. 2 months ago. In our parents' house. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Like the version of me she'd always relied on. The quiet one. The dependable one. Had been replaced by someone sharper. I didn't apologize. She waited. But I just walked out. Left her alone in the mirror. The wedding was in less than 24 hours. The dress still hung in my closet, still untouched. The question wasn't whether I'd wear it. It was whether I'd show up at all. The morning of the wedding was gray, the kind of sky that doesn't storm. It just lingers. Clouded and undecided, like it's watching to see what you'll do before it commits. I sat at the edge of my bed, hands folded in my lap, watching the garment bag sway slightly from the ceiling fan. Blush satin, custom-tailored, never worn. The silence in my apartment felt like a person, like someone had been waiting for me to choose. At 10:03 a.m., my phone buzzed. "Mom, where are you?" "You're supposed to be at the venue by 10. Kayla's freaking out." I didn't reply. I stood, pulled the zipper on the dress bag halfway down, then stopped. Let it hang open like a mouth. I didn't pack it. Instead, I reached for the plain black dress at the back of my closet. The one with sleeves. The one no one ever asked to borrow. The one I wore when I buried the part of me that used to beg to be chosen. I arrived just after noon. The bridal suite buzzed like a beehive. Hairspray, clicking heels, glitter dust. No one noticed me at first. I was quiet, understated. Kayla turned, mid-laugh, and saw me in the mirror. She froze. "You didn't wear the dress." I met her eyes through the reflection. "No. It's my day." "Exactly." She blinked. Her lips parted like she had a list of things to say. Reasons, excuses, instructions. I walked past her, sat down, crossed my legs, took out my book, the one I always carry but never read. The silence was enough. The ceremony started late. I stood. With the others, a row of matching petals, and me, a thorn. People whispered. I heard one aunt ask if I was in mourning. I didn't explain. The music started. Kayla appeared in her gown, radiant and sugar-sweet. Michael didn't look at me, but I watched him, and I think for a second he wanted to. Not out of longing, out of guilt. He blinked too long when he saw me. I tilted my head. No smile. He turned away. I didn't stay for the reception, didn't wait for dinner, or the dances, or the garter toss. Kayla probably choreographed. I slipped, out the side door into the dusk. No one followed, no one called, and that silence felt more loyal than any of them ever had. The sky was lavender by the time I reached my car. I didn't cry. I didn't even sigh. I sat in the front seat with both hands on the wheel, staring at my own reflection in the rearview mirror. Not to admire anything, just to see what was left of me. I looked calm, but not empty. Not anymore. That night, I got 2 texts, one from Kayla. "Hope you're happy. You made everyone uncomfortable." I didn't reply. The second was from Michael. Just 1 sentence. "You looked beautiful today." I stared at it until the screen dimmed. Then I deleted it. Not out of rage, not out of pain. Just done. A week passed. The wedding photos started going up. Filtered, posed, curated. Kayla tagged me in 3. In one of them, I'm the only one in black. My hands are folded, my face unreadable. The caption read, "Family is everything. So blessed to have the strongest support system ever. Your sister squad." I didn't untag myself, but I did post something else. A photo of a single flower in a cracked vase. No caption, no location. Just silence. Within an hour, 5 people messaged me. "Are you okay?" That post. It felt like something. Was that about the wedding? I didn't respond. Sometimes silence is the message. Started cleaning my apartment the next morning. Not the normal kind. Not the "I have guests" kind. The deep kind. The kind you do when you're shedding skin. I threw out the old dress bag. Burned the binder Michael gave me when we were planning our wedding. I packed up the framed photos, the leftover trinkets, the shared memories turned rotten. One by one, I removed pieces of a life that no longer asked me to stay. And for once, I didn't feel like I was losing anything. I felt like I was making space. It's been 4 months. The wedding photos still live online. Every now and then, someone I used to know likes one, or comments something soft and sugary beneath it. I don't. I scroll past them like I would old bruises, still faintly visible, but not worth touching. Kayla reached out once since then. Long, meandering text that didn't say sorry, just circled the wound. "I hope you know I never meant to hurt you. I just fell in love. I couldn't help it. No apology. No ownership. Just justification dressed up as fate." I read it on a cold Sunday morning with a chipped mug in one hand and sunlight on my bare feet. I didn't respond. Because I finally understood something. Not every silence needs to be broken. Not every hurt needs to be acknowledged by the person who caused it. Some pain you carry like an heirloom. Until one day, you don't. Last week, I walked into a bookstore I'd never been to before. They had a little cafe in the back, and I took a table by the frosted window. Outside, people passed with coats drawn tight and collars upturned. Inside, it was warm, uncomplicated. The barista smiled and handed me a tea I hadn't ordered but somehow wanted. "On the house," she said. "You look like you needed something soft." I think that was the first time in months I felt seen. Really seen. Not as someone's placeholder. Not as a plot device. Not as the supporting character in someone else's performance. Just me. I left my phone in my bag that afternoon. Didn't check it once. When I got home, there was a message from my mother. A photo of Kayla holding a positive pregnancy test. Exciting. News. Can't wait to celebrate with my girls again. I stared at it for a long time. Then I archived the chat. No rage, no grief. Just a small private goodbye. This isn't a story about revenge. This is a story about remembering who I was, before I let them tell me who to be, and walking away, not so they'd miss me, but so I could finally miss myself.